Even for the best teams with unlimited resources, building a fast car is not easy. But still, every team that has been in here long enough has made a fast car at least once, because otherwise, they couldn't survive in this sport. And in this video, we are going to talk about the best cars that every team on the 2026 grid has ever made so far. And we're going to start our list with the Ferrari F2004. Even Ferrari engineers couldn't believe how well this car performed. After almost losing the championship against McLaren and Kimi Raikkonen in 2003, they thought the next season would be competitive. But once upon a time, Ferrari engineers actually pursued perfection instead of depression. So they made one of the best Formula 1 cars in history. That car was a masterpiece in terms of performance and also the appearance. To be honest, I think the Ferrari F2002 looked better. But of course, appearance isn't the point of this video, but still, I wanted to yap about it. Well, Schumacher won 12 of the first 13 races and then decided to chill out a bit. And Ferrari achieved complete dominance with winning 15 of the 18 races. And I think the most impressive thing about this car is the fact that the track records this car broke have remained unbroken for years. And the next car in our list is the Mercedes W11. Mercedes had already designed a great car for the 2019 season, but it had a huge overheating problem for the engine and also the tires. And they wanted to solve this problem in 2020, so they developed an engineering marvel called dual-axis steering for the W11. It seemed like the DAS system would largely solve the tire overheating problem, but engine overheating was a much bigger issue, and it was actually still unresolved at the start of the season. But because of the delays due to COVID, they had time to fix it. Besides that, the W11 was practically a flawless car. It could take corners at incredibly high speeds, and it was also extremely consistent. That car could make even Lance Stroll a world champion. W11 won 13 out of 17 races, achieving 12 front row lockouts and 5 1-2 finishes. Well, although this isn't a very clever argument, I think it would have been much better for Mercedes if they had released the DAS system for the W12 instead of the W11. Because the W11 didn't need the DAS system to dominate anyway, but Hamilton's chances of winning the 2021 season would have been much higher with the DAS system. And the next car in our list is the McLaren MP4. Well, the team lost their last 2 championships to Williams, and their weakness was the Porsche engine, so that's why, just like Williams, they also started using the Honda engine. Well, I should point out that the Honda engine we're talking about here and the Honda engine that jeopardized Fernando Alonso's mental health are completely different things. They designed a space rocket with their new engine and had one of the most dominant seasons in Formula 1 history. They won 15 races out of 16, and they also took 15 pole positions. The thing that I find the most amazing about this car is that the reason they just didn't end up winning every race because Senna was lapping another car and they collided, and Senna's car ended up stuck on top of a curb. If that curb wasn't so tall, he would most likely...
I mean, it's always if, right? If my mom had balls, she would be my dad, so...
And the next car in our list is the RB19 from the 2023 season. This car is constantly compared to the W11, but the biggest difference between them is that what makes the RB19 so dominant is entirely Max, and the way his driving style is perfectly suited to the car. Yes, the car was really fast, but for someone who is not Max Verstappen, it was also difficult to drive. And on the other hand, even Lance Stroll could win a world championship with W11, as I said before. But when combined with Max's individual performance, Red Bull won 21 out of the 22 races with RB19. And one of the reasons Red Bull was able to make such a good car is that they already made a good car in 2022 when there was a new regulation, so they had the chance to focus on actually improving the car instead of fixing the mistakes. That's why I think one of the reasons this car looks so great is that the other teams haven't been able to build a good enough car to compete against. But no matter what, at the end of the day, RB19 managed to become the most dominant car in Formula 1 history. And the next car in our list is the Williams FW15C for the 1993 season. That's another masterpiece designed by Adrian Newey, and it was probably the most technologically advanced Formula 1 car ever made. Well, Williams was broke as a joke, so to stay competitive, they constantly had to pull rabbits out of a hat. And active suspension was one of those rabbits. It alone consistently took not tenths, but almost an entire second off lap times. The car also featured a push-to-pass button that used the active suspension to raise the rear of the car to reduce drag caused by the diffuser. This car dominated the season, winning 10 out of 16 races with its incredible innovations. This wasn't the most dominant car Williams ever made, but I think it was their best. The next car in our list is the Haas VF-18 for the 2018. Haas is currently the only Formula 1 team on the grid that has never been on the podium in their history. I mean, if we ignore Audi and Cadillac since they never entered a Formula 1 Grand Prix before. Well, what I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't have high expectations from Haas's best car, and to be fair, the VF-18 was actually pretty okay. They finished the season in 5th place, but to be fair again, if Grosjean and the pit crew hadn't f***ed up that much, they could have finished 4th ahead of Renault. This would make them the leader of the midfield, and that's a pretty good achievement. And the next car in our list is the Aston Martin AM-R23 for the 2023 season. Well, Fernando Alonso was on the podium in 5 of the first 6 races, and this car was the second fastest car after Red Bull, even though the gap between them was huge. At the start of the season, Aston Martin was reaping the rewards of the hours Sebastian Vettel spent developing the car last season. At the time, I was really confident that they would finish second in the championship, to be honest, but knows how with each update. They managed to the car up, and Aston Martin, which I thought would finish the season in 2nd place, was in 5th place with 280 points and 8 podiums. And of course, the car wasn't entirely to blame here, because Lance Stroll's slightly lower contribution to the points also made the situation possible. Well, I'll ignore the name changes of the teams in the rest of the video because if I don't, we won't have much material left. And the next car in our list is the Renault R25 for the 2005 season. Well, there are a few things that made this car very strong. First of all, the tires were one big factor. In 2005, the tire regulations put Renault ahead of Ferrari. The Renault engine also had some strengths itself, especially it was very strong at low-speed corners. They also had the mass damper, which was a great innovation. Renault's launch control was another factor too. They also had arguably the best driver on the grid, Fernando Alonso. When all these factors came together, Renault won the championship with 191 points with the old point system and 8 wins. Also, there is one thing to add. Renault didn't nearly have the same budget as the Ferrari and McLaren of the grid, so the fact that they won with a lower budget than their rivals is pretty impressive. Everything kind of came together for that season. The next car in our list is the Toro Rosso STR3 for the 2008 season. Well, this is the only car that Red Bull's junior team beat Red Bull for the first and only time in their history and scored more points. Because they basically had the same chassis, similar aero, and actually a better engine with Ferrari, and they arguably had the better drivers, so there's not much surprise that they were better that season. The most interesting thing was that this car actually won a race in Monza and not by an accident. They won because the car was actually faster than the others in that track. With the old point system, they finished the season in 6th place with 39 points, ahead of the main team Red Bull. And the last car in our list is the BMW Sauber F1.08. This car actually had a chance to win the championship. When Kubica won the Canadian Grand Prix, he was leading the championship, and Sauber was just a few points behind in the Constructors' Championship. But from that point on, the team stopped developing this car and focused on the car for the next season. And of course, the car couldn't stay in the championship fight. They finished 3rd in the Constructors' Championship and Kubica finished 4th in the Drivers' Championship. Overall, it was a historical achievement for the team, but it could have been so much more. And even though that's an optimistic estimate, we'll never know for sure. Well, that was the whole list. I hope you enjoyed the video. You can share your thoughts in the comments and see you on the next one.